All right, month 2, done. I hate month 2. Month 2 is the detox, energy levels go down. This is the reason for this program. This is my favorite month. This is when we're going to turn the volume back on. This is exercise. So here we go. Don't mind questions. If you have them, go ahead. All right, so we're going to start a new program for exercise. Has to be done my way. I know people have exercised before. Most people do it incorrectly, don't get the results. I'm going to show you how you can do an exercise program and get the results to come over and over and over again. Has to be done though. That's the problem. Has to be done my way. This is called the Reclaim 24 program, and it's called the Reclaim 24 program because you can literally reclaim your health in 24 hours. I said that right, 24 hours you can reclaim your health, but it has to be done my way. Here we go, I'm gonna explain it. All right, so what I want to start off is 30 minutes of resistance type exercise. We're going to take the muscles to fatigue. This is crucial, we're only going to work one major muscle group per week, then we're gonna give it 6 days to heal. So we work it out, tear it down, 6 days to heal. So we're gonna have a day of push type exercises, and then on Wednesday, 2 days later, we're gonna have pull exercises, and then on Friday, we're gonna do legs. I hate legs. So that's why I put them on Friday, because I can spend the rest of the weekend walking around like that, okay? So again, we're only gonna work one major muscle group per week and give it 6 days to heal. Now in this, let's say Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I don't care what the days are, I just don't want Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So let's say Monday we're doing push. We're gonna do 30 minutes of resistance type exercise for all of the push muscles. There's gonna be several different things. In the curriculum book, you'll see I've got pictures of how to do all of this stuff. We have a trainer that will come in and work with you to make sure you're doing it right. Okay, so on Monday, we're gonna do 30 minutes of push exercise, and after we're done with that, I want your muscles wiped out. I want them as like, I can't lift my arms. The next day, you're gonna be sore. Second day, it's going to be worse than the first. Third day gets a little bit better. Fourth day, a little bit better. Fifth day, a little bit better, and so on. And then next week, we'll do the same thing again. But we're going to completely fatigue the muscle for about 30 minutes. In the beginning, it may take about 45 minutes because you're going to be looking at the book. You're going to try to figure out the weights. Once you get into the habit of doing this, I can do this in 24 minutes. I can completely wipe out a full group of muscle in 24 minutes. So it is doable. But we're going to start with 30 minutes of resistance. After we've done that, we're going to put in 10 minutes of this thing called Tabata or HIIT. And HIIT stands for high intensity interval training. For me, what that looks like is I'm going to sprint for 30 seconds and then I'm going to walk for a minute. Sprint 30, walk a minute. Sprint 30, walk a minute. Or I'm going to get on a bicycle. I'm going to pedal hard for 30 seconds and then pedal easy. Rowing machines, jumping jacks, burpees. I don't care what you do. I just want you to do something that takes your breath away, where you give me everything you have for a short period and then rest. Here's what it looks like, okay? We're not gonna start at 30, but I want 10 seconds of everything that you have. And then you can take 120 seconds to recover. So sprint for 10 seconds, walk for 2 minutes. Sprint 10 seconds, walk 2 minutes. Sprint 10 seconds, walk 2 minutes. I don't care again what it is. I don't care what the numbers are. What I do want is the 10 minutes. When most people start this, it's called the 4-minute exercise. 4 minutes of this done the correct way is hard to do. So we're gonna slow it down. I wanna start with 10 minutes. Here is what I need. At the end of that 10 minutes, when you're done with that, this is how I need you to feel. I need you bent over going, I hate him, I hate him, I hate him. That's what I'm looking for. I need complete exhaustion. I'll explain that why here in a second. But that is the crucial part. That's really hard to force yourself to do. So 30 minutes, we're gonna tear the muscle down, take a little break, and then we're gonna do 10 minutes of this Tabata HIIT so that we're wiped out. So if we're doing 30 minutes of the resistance, 10 minutes of that, that is a total of 40 minutes. We're gonna do that 40 minutes 3 times per week. Again, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, whatever works, okay? So 40 minutes 3 times a week equals 2 hours per week. Nobody can give me an excuse to say, I don't have 2 hours a week. Everybody can do 2 hours a week. You don't have to have a gym to do this. You can do it in the garage. You can get kettlebells. You can get some dumbbells. You can use gallon jugs of milk. I don't care, but I need about 2 hours a week. And I want you to do the 2 hours per week for the next 12 weeks. That's the caveat. Again, I kind of made it sound different in the beginning where we could reclaim our health in 24 hours, and it's true, but it is done 2 hours a week for 12 weeks. And if we do 2 hours a week for 12 weeks, it's 24 hours. It takes about 12 weeks to make significant cellular change. And when I'm talking about cellular change, we're talking about mitochondria. I'm going to cover that here in a second, but mitochondria is the key. Whoever has the most mitochondria wins. That's what we're going for. Everything that we did in month 1 and month 2 is to get to this point. Your body is ready. We've read the blood. Everything is good to go. We're going to do this exercise, and this is where the volume goes up. Okay? So here's how it works. We all use sugar, fat, and protein as fuel. Most Americans stay in sugar metabolism. We eat enough carbs and sugar that that's all we're ever burning. And so if I put a molecule of sugar into the bloodstream and take it inside the cell, and then I deposit that molecule of sugar into this little guy called a mitochondria. Again, mitochondria are key. Inside the mitochondria is this reaction called the Krebs citric acid cycle. Again, you don't have to remember all these names, but the Krebs cycle is taking that fuel, that sugar, and it's spinning it through the cycle, and it is making a substance called ATP. ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate. That is an energy packet. Everything that you do in your life, in your body, requires ATP. For you to blink your eyes requires ATP. For you to take a breath, for your heart to beat, for your mind to work, for you to take a step, for you to digest. Anything and everything that you do requires ATP. We eat food, we convert it into glucose. Glucose goes into the cell. We spin it through Krebs, we make ATP. So if I take one tiny molecule of sugar, put it in the mitochondria, spin it through Krebs, I get 2 ATPs. How long does it take to use 2 ATPs? Gone. We're always eating food, we're always storing ATP so that when our body needs to move or needs to do whatever it does, we can do that. It does not take long to use 2 ATPs. That is sugar. Now, let's move into fat. Fat, I have you eating in your diet, we're eating the 40-40-20. The 20% is quality fats. That's avocados, extra virgin olive oil. We're going to cook with good oils. I want people eating fat because when we eat fat, we can put fat into the bloodstream and take the fat to the mitochondria. And if we run fat through the Krebs cycle, we get 5 ATPs, which is better. Yes, 5 is better than 2. We are fat burning machines. We make more energy from burning fat than we do from sugar. So I want that fat metabolism. That's why I'm okay when people eat good fats. Okay? We also have this thing called protein metabolism. I don't want to get there. Protein metabolism is about endurance. Think of your marathon runners. How many fat marathoners do you know? Not many. Our bodies are not designed to run 26.2 miles. If it does, it's burning up all the energy we have, and we go into this different process of where our body needs energy because we're not stopping running, and our body starts eating itself. We call that gluconeogenesis. But our body is going to start eating our lean muscles. So most of the marathon runners you see kind of have hollowed out jowls. Their legs are thin, sinewy. They're really thin people because we eat a lot of food and we're using that to burn it, and then we eat our own muscles. So I don't want to go into protein metabolism too much. You can't stop it. It's going to happen, but we don't want to prolong it. So on extended exercise of where you've used up all your sugar and fat, you're going to go into protein metabolism. That's why I only want 40 minutes. I don't want people on a treadmill for 2 hours and doing that. You're going to eat your protein. So I want to stay away from protein metabolism. I want to stay in sugar and fat metabolism. Okay? So let's say that we're eating sugar, fat, and protein. We're running it through here. We're making ATP, and we're storing it into our body. Then we go do this. We go do this HIIT exercise, and at the end of it, how much ATP do you have left? Yeah, it's gone. We don't have any left because you used it all up. That's why at the end of this thing, you're breathing hard, you're in a pile, laying on the floor, sweating, okay? If you go to that level and use up all of your ATP, somebody is not happy with you. Who's not happy? The brain is not happy with you. The brain's job is to keep you alive. The brain doesn't have any arms and legs. It physically can't do stuff. The brain uses ATP and energy to have neurotransmitters, electrical signals. It's causing the heart to beat, the lungs to breathe. All the things happen because the brain uses up ATP. Little small tidbit, my brain holds on to stupid information. The brain weighs about 6 pounds, and that 6-pound brain uses 25% of all of the food you eat. The brain uses 25% of all of the glucose in the body to do its job. So if you use up all of the ATP, your brain's not happy with you. And it's going to give you a headache. It's going to give you a backache. It's going to give you cramps. It's going to make you nauseous. It's going to do anything and everything that it can so that you don't go do this exercise again. It is vulnerable if we use this up. But we've already agreed, we signed it in ink, you can't erase it, you've got to go back to the gym. So that when you start heading back into the gym, your brain's going, what are you doing? I told you not to come back here, but you're going to fight it. And you're going to play this seesaw back and forth for a little bit. So we're going to force ourselves back in the gym. We're going to go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, whatever the case may be. And after you've done this seesaw, this tug of war, 3-4 weeks, your brain is going to go, I can't live like this. This is not good. And the brain is like, I can't continue this process. So the brain says, I'm going to fix this. So guess what the brain does? The brain is going to build another energy factory called a mitochondria. So now we can run sugar and fat into 2 different mitochondria. So what did we do to the total of our ATP production? Yeah, we doubled it. So now if we just have 1 mitochondria, we were making 2. Now we have 2, we can make 4. If we're running fat, then we can, instead of having just 5, we have 10. We've literally doubled the amount of energy we have. And the brain goes, go do your exercise. I don't care. I've got plenty of ATP to do my stuff. But when we start to feel that, instead of doing just 10 seconds of a burst and then 2 minutes of relaxing, now we can bump it up. So we're sprinting for 20 seconds and we're only taking 90 seconds to recover. This is the endurance part. You will feel this. This will be, last week I could only run a mile. Now I'm running 1.5 miles. Last week I could only do 5 flights of stairs. Now I'm doing 8 flights of stairs. You will physically feel this one. Your recovery time at the end of this, in the beginning it may take 45 minutes for your body to recover. Now it's taking 30 minutes, 20 minutes. You will feel that next mitochondria. Your body will have more energy. But when we have that feeling, we increase it, and now the brain's like, oh my gosh, I just built you another factory. Now you're using up all of the ATP I just gave you. And then we're going to play this tug of war. We're going to have this seesaw again. And the brain will finally get to the point of saying, I can't do this anymore. I thought I had this fixed, but no. And the brain is going to go nuts. And it's going to say, I'm going to stop this for all times. I'm going to start building all kinds of mitochondria in there. Now we have 5 mitochondria. So instead of 2 or 4, now we're at 10. If we're burning fat, we have 25. Once we hit that, that's the key. I want you to be able to do 30 seconds of whatever, the sprint, the bike ride, and I want a 60-second break in that. So again, if you can sprint full out for 30 seconds, walk for a minute, sprint 30, walk a minute, whatever you're doing, and you can do that for 10 minutes, that's all I ever need. That's an equilibrium. That's enough energy for the brain to do everything that it's doing, and also gives you enough energy to do this. And your recovery time's 5 minutes. You do the exercise, 5 minutes later, you're like, oh, I've got a glass of water, I'm on my way. Some people will want to go more than that. I don't care. If you want to go further than that, by all means. This is all we ever need to have equilibrium or balance when it comes to health. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So next step, how does this work? ATP is really important, and we only get ATP from the mitochondria. Inside every cell of your body, you have a chromosome. You get one from mom, one from dad, you put them together, you get you. On the end of your chromosomes, we have these things called telomeres. Telomeres determine how long you're going to live. If somebody has a short telomere, they're not going to live a very long time. It's short. Once the telomere hits the chromatid, you die. This is how we can determine if somebody's going to live 2 years, 5 years, 2 days, whatever it is. You've heard people say, you go to the doctor and say, sorry, you got about 2 weeks to live. How do they know that? We can look at the telomeres. If they're short, you're not going to live long. If they're long, you're going to live a long time. Okay? So what are the things that you think are the process of diminishing the size of the telomere? What if we smoke? What if we drink too much soda? What if we're under fluorescent lights, not in the sunlight? What if we have high stress? What if there's all these types of things that we call activities of daily living? Yes, there are consequences for what we do. So if we're living an unhealthy lifestyle, those telomeres are going to shrink faster. If we're living a healthy type lifestyle, those telomeres are going to last longer. But here's the fun thing. They've actually found something that not only stops the degeneration of the telomere, but can add length to it. Guess what it is? It is that. It is the HIIT type exercise. Again, high intensity interval training. Again, hard to do, 30 seconds, 60 seconds. But if you do this type of exercise, you're making mitochondria. And I'll say this over and over again. Whoever has the most mitochondria wins. So again, our goal, the whole reason we've done this whole program is for you to make these mitochondria. We do that by doing this exercise. And if our cells are full of mitochondria, we have excess ATP. All right? So I want to talk a little bit more about ATP. I want you to think of ATP as money. So let's say somebody is living paycheck to paycheck. Maybe they spend a little bit more money per month than they actually make. They've got credit cards, so they overspend. They had a bad month, and let's say that they came to the first of the month and they had enough money to pay the house payment, but didn't have enough to pay the insurance. So they paid the house month. They're going to catch up with the insurance on their 2-week check that comes in. But within that 2 weeks, thunderstorm comes over, lightning hits the roof, knocks a hole in the roof, water is pouring into the house. How does that person fix their roof? How does that person fix what's going on? They have no money. They don't have insurance. They're not going to pay for it. Hopefully they have a blue tarp in the garage and they climb up to the roof and they hammer the blue tarp. That's going to prevent the water from coming in to the roof. So they've kind of patched it together. Water's still going to creep around the edges. It's going to get in the sheetrock. It's going to get in the insulation. And if it stays there long enough, it's going to mold. It could get into the electrical system. It could cause a whole bunch of other problems the longer that it's just patched together because it's not good in that. So that's one way that they're going to try to fix that is to stop that. There's no chance that roof is going to last 30, 40, 50 years. Okay? So now let's talk about somebody that has $20 million in the bank. The same scenario happens. Let's say thunderstorm comes on, lightning hits the roof, knocks a hole in the roof. What does the person who has $20 million in the bank do? They have excess. They call up and say, hey, AAA, fix the roof, whatever you need to do. So if you have excess ATP, excess money, you can fix anything that goes wrong with your house. So let's say somebody has got $20 million in the bank and they have a child and they don't have room for them. They can buy another house. They can build another house into it. Somebody that doesn't have money says, we're going to sleep in the same room. When it comes to health, I want you to think of your body and the house the same way. If you have excess ATP and something goes wrong with a cell, then your body has the energy and the availability to fix that cell. None of your cells last as far as your lifespan goes. All of our cells are in a constant state of degeneration and regeneration. People don't realize this, but red blood cells literally only last 90 to 120 days. Then you've built new. The cells in your mouth, every 2 to 4 days, the cells completely replace themselves. Our liver, lungs, organs, those kind of things, somewhere between about 7 and 8 years, you've completely replaced every cell in those. Your bones, they grow back together. People with broken bones, they grow back together, so we know they can repair themselves. In the bone structure, somewhere between 15 and 18 years, and every cell in your bones are brand new. And here's the wonderful thing about it, is that our DNA has a recipe. It knows how to build the perfect cell. And if you have enough money, if you have enough of the supplies to build that cell, you can literally replace your cells with brand new ones, and that body will last a long, long time. A person who doesn't have the money and can't afford this, they're patching their body back together. So again, the whole key to health are mitochondria. Whoever has the most mitochondria wins. It gives you access. You can become a millionaire in mitochondria and your body will heal itself. Again, the body is fearfully and wonderfully made. It's designed to be healthy. It's designed to replace itself. We've just gotten off track and we're not able to replace those things. And this is a key structure. I want you to have the money to build a new body, and that's done through mitochondria. Thanks.